Ladies, are you tired of having to convince your man to get a family car? Meet the Toyota Previa. With buzzwords like 5-speed, mid-engine, and rear-wheel drive, this is the first minivan that sells itself to your husband. Don't worry, gentlemen, it only looks like a spaceship. It still has plenty of fluid reservoirs under the hood that you can point at and accuse the dealership of forgetting to top up. And little Johnny, we've got captain's chairs and rear climate vents just for you. The Toyota Previa. It's got something for everyone. If you grew up in the late 80s and 90s, chances are you rode in a lot of minivans. Perhaps your family owned one, but even if they didn't, it's very likely you had friends who did. For 1991, Toyota introduced their new family minivan, the Previa. Now I know the styling might look a little silly at first glance, but in the early 90s, handheld vacuum styling was in. Though the Previa, by comparison to the Dustbuster GM vans, has a much shorter front clip, and while I think it still fits the side profile of a handheld vacuum pretty well, it is a little more egg-shaped, and as such people sometimes refer to it as the Eggvan.
I feel your pain, Previa. I used to have a menacing name, but now they just call me Eggman. How am I supposed to be taken seriously as an evil genius with a name like that?
Whether or not you like the design aesthetically, it results in excellent vision. The front glass with its skinny A-pillars wraps around you like a solarium, and the large rear windows make sure you can see what's going on in the world around you. Inside you will find a rather uniquely shaped dash that appears to have 2 stories and a crawl space. The gauge cluster is simple, with most models only equipped with speedo, temp, and fuel gauges. The speedo is trimmed by these large gray rectangles that seem to be there just to take up space and make the gauge cluster look less sparse. Front seats are fixed headrest captain's chairs with armrests. Rear seating, depending on trim and options, come in a few different arrangements. A bare-bones standard deluxe model seats only 5 passengers with a 3-person bench in the second row and plenty of room for cargo behind that. Optional to the deluxe model and standard on the LE is 7-passenger seating with the addition of a rear bench seat. Optional to the LE is a captain's chair package which replaces the second row bench seat with captain's chairs. Much more comfortable and promotes easier access to the rear seats, but of course this does mean you can only seat 6. The third row is a split bench seat which can separate and be folded up against the sides when not needed to make room for cargo. This is pretty cool, and I feel like many people credit the Honda Element for innovating seats that fold up to the side like this, but folks, it happened here first. Perhaps the young American designers at Honda's US R&D division responsible for creating the Element grew up riding in Previas. The one downside to folding up seats like this is it blocks the rear quarter windows, so it does have a negative effect on vision. But just look at the room you get in this minivan, especially with the captain's chairs in the second row. Toyota says it's like a living room, and it's the sort of interior where if your mom yells at you, "Don't make me come back there," you better shut your mouth, because with this much interior space, she just might be able to. The sole engine choice in 1991 for North American Previas is a 2.4-liter 4-cylinder rated at 138 horsepower and 154 pound-feet of torque. The Previa's shape means there isn't much of a hood, but it doesn't really need one, because that's not where the engine is. That doesn't mean the short hood section of the vehicle is useless, in fact, quite the contrary. Toyota has designed it so that all of your fluid reservoirs are still located there for easy top-ups. The battery, air filters, and even your engine accessories like the alternator, power steering pump, and AC compressor live up there as well, driven by a 31-inch shaft connected to the engine. It's really nice that they did this from a serviceability perspective. You can even add engine oil here, where it is stored in a reservoir and then drained into the engine as needed. The engine itself is located under the front seats, and limited access to it can be obtained by tilting the driver's seat back and opening a hatch that reminds me of one you might use to descend into the engine room of a ship. There's not a whole lot here that the average minivan owner will tinker with. The ATF dipstick is here, as is the engine oil dipstick, and another engine oil cap from which you can bypass the reservoir and add oil to the engine directly. Toyota correctly assumes that most American minivan owners won't be opening this hatch very often, so they smartly added a low oil level dummy light to the dashboard. This light comes on when the underhood oil reservoir is empty, so you can fill that reservoir back up and keep on driving without ever needing to open the engine hatch or even touch the dipstick. Trim levels are Deluxe and LE. Aside from the badge on the back, LE trims can be spotted by these little chrome strips they have on the grille slats. A 5-speed 6-speed manual is standard on the Deluxe, although most were likely ordered with the optional 4-speed auto. The upper LE trim is auto only. Power is sent to the rear wheels on regular Deluxe and LE vehicles, but you could opt for the All-Trac version of the Previa, which gives you full-time all-wheel drive. And you can get both the upper LE and basic Deluxe trims in All-Trac versions, which means all-wheel drive and the manual transmission are not mutually exclusive. Welcome to Toyota, sir. Looking for something in particular? Well, you see, my wife sent me here to look at minivans. I've got a kid on the way. I see. Safe to say a minivan isn't on your dream car list, sir? No, definitely not. I'm more of an MR2 kind of guy, you know, but can't really haul kids in that. I see. Well, sir, what if I told you that I have a van on the lot that is mid-engine rear drive with 5 gears manually shifted from the floor? I'd say take my money. Oh, I plan to, sir. I plan to. Brakes are front disc rear drum on Deluxe models and 4-wheel disc on LE trims. ABS is an option on LE models. Now let's be honest for a minute here. Even if this minivan technically has a sports car drivetrain layout, it is anything but. The Previa is a big vehicle, and that little 4-cylinder takes over 12 seconds to hit 60 miles an hour, as tested by Car and Driver. I wouldn't necessarily assume that you're going to be beating the Caravans and Aerostars to that prime school pickup location. Basic Deluxe model does not come standard with any power options, but there is a power package available to it, which adds power windows, mirrors, and door locks. On the LE, power door locks are standard, but the other power options still must be added with the power package. Roof-mounted heater vents are standard on both models, but AC is standard to the LE only and optional on the Deluxe. A tilt steering wheel, the third row seat, pop-out side and quarter windows, and a rear window defroster are all standard on the LE, but only come on Deluxe models as part of the convenience package, which will also add a tack to manual models. Definitely my favorite option, which is only available to the LE, are these dual sunroofs. Super cool. This package adds a rear spoiler as well. For some reason though, they don't let you get this package on the All-Trac LE. Why, Toyota, why? Why can't I have all-wheel drive and a sunroof? The 1992 model year brings a few minor changes. ABS is now available to both trim levels, and the Previa gets a third brake light. I thought that was mandated back in the mid-80s, to be honest, but I guess that was only for cars. The Previa gets a driver's side airbag this year, and they removed those gray boxes I made fun of from the gauge cluster. It looks more normal now. The optional second row captain's chairs are now able to swivel a full 180 degrees and face the rear. I believe they could only swivel something like 90 degrees before. The pop-out side windows are now standard on the Deluxe model as well. The biggest changes come for the 1994 model year. The Previa gets a passenger side airbag, and as a side effect, the unusual glove box had to be relocated and now opens more conventionally. There's a new steering wheel, a new front bumper, and more traditional bucket seats with detached adjustable headrests. There's also a leather seating package now available to the LE model. But the biggest news for 1994 is a supercharged engine, available as an option initially just to LE models, but in 95 they made it available on either trim. Unfortunately though, 94 is also the year they discontinued the manual transmission, so you can't get a supercharged model with a stick, at least not from the factory.
Bogus.
The supercharged engine increases power output to 161 horsepower and 201 pound-feet of torque, which is a pretty significant improvement. All of the power options from the power package are now standard on the LE. The convenience option package is gone, as the third row seat and rear window defrosters are now standard on the Deluxe as well. In 1996, the supercharged engine becomes the only engine choice for the Previa, cutting down the lineup of Previa variations from 8 to 4. The final year of production for the North American market is 1997, after which it was replaced by the more conventional front-drive Sienna. But the Previa did carry on for 2 more generations in some other markets, including its home market where it's known as the Toyota Estima, where it was produced until 2019. The Previa really started to struggle in America though when most of its competition started getting standard V6 engines, something the unique layout of the Previa could not accommodate. The supercharged engine was kind of a band-aid fix for that, but I should mention that adjusted for inflation, an LE-grade Previa with the supercharged engine costed nearly $70,000 in today's money. Add all-wheel drive to that and you're getting well into Lexus territory. I know there's a Toyota tax to pay, but Toyota might have priced themselves a little out of the game with that one. Maybe your rich neighbor Shannon can buy one as a curb ornament, but the average family probably couldn't. When the Sienna came out in 1998, it topped out at around 10 grand less. So what do you think of the Eggvan?
Hey!
Sorry, the Dr. Robotnik van.
That's right.
Are you going to be drifting your kids to school in one? Or are they just a relic of outdated minivans past?